You ever get sick of people telling you you need to be unique? We're going to think about that today on Now What Devotions from Trinity Lutheran and Cyrus. You ever do that thing where you go back to visit somewhere you haven't seen for a long time, and you just notice all those things that have changed, and then you notice those things that have stayed the same, and probably some of those things you notice the most are the things you just love about that place. They remind you of good memories. They're just so specific to that place. They are unique. They're really beautiful. We're going to think about that today a little bit. But the thing I wanted to sit with a little bit today is what Jesus says at the end of this section in Luke. So we're in Luke 21, we're at verse 5, and the disciples are sitting around and they're looking at how beautiful the temple is. And I think, I could be wrong here, but it seems like Jesus senses an irony in this. Because they're looking at how gorgeous this temple is, which, I mean, it was very fancy and big. Herod had been working on this thing for 30 years as a way of cementing his legacy and a way of showing power to the Romans and others and to the Jews too. Anyway, Jesus looks at it and says, this thing ain't going to last, guys. Like it's all coming down. And they go, what? When? Oh no. So imagine just for a moment, as Jesus, you look at these people you love who are priceless, who in their uniqueness are so wonderful, are so unrepeatable. And because you love them, they last because you're Jesus. But Jesus loves all of us. And because Jesus loves us, we have that opportunity to last. So he's looking at these people who are going to last forever. And they're saying, oh no, when's the temple going to fall down? And he goes, oh boy. So two things. One, after that conversation, he immediately switches tack and says, okay, guys, don't let any answer givers, doomsdayers, don't let those folks trick you. Don't let them get your attention. Like nobody knows. All this stuff is going to keep happening repetitively. There's going to be earthquakes, fires, wars, bad stuff happens. That is not an indication of the end time. And what God is doing is bigger than that. But then the second thing he says to them at the very end, he says, guys, every single hair on your head will be preserved in its uniqueness. I've done maybe 90 funerals now. And I will tell you, the thing that we mourn when we lose someone we love, we mourn that specific thing that is them, that is so uniquely them, that combination of all the things and our relationship and our history together. And if somebody's young and we lose them, we mourn the potential of all the ways they're going to impact us and the world and others, what their uniqueness will do in this world. It's amazing what could happen. That potential is beautiful. And we mourn that. And Jesus says, those things that we love are not lost. I will preserve them in their uniqueness. I think one of the first things we learn when we're very young is that we're not the same as others. We're like them, but we're not them. We're different. And we know that from a very young age. And unfortunately, we live in a society that thinks that is the best way to market to us, to influence us, to manipulate us. They sell us identity. The idea that we could somehow be more who we are if we buy the right things, or we could be more specifically unique who we are if we have the right political party or the biggest house or the right car. All of those things are attempts to save ourselves. All of those things are attempts to build up our identity independently of what we've already been given, our God-created identity. We're trying to save something that we can't save. And that's exactly how the disciples respond. Jesus says, oh, that temple's not going to last, guys. You're looking at these guys who are beautiful and wonderful, who he knows will last. And they go, well, when's it going to happen? In other words, how do we save ourselves or the temple? And the only response to that is, you can't. You can't do it. No amount of building up the self or protecting your family or earning the money or doing the things will save that which is unique, which you fear to lose, as though it would never be replaced. And Jesus says, don't be afraid. I love you, and I will preserve those things that are beautiful and true. All that uniqueness that you love will be preserved. Love lasts. My life is in you. That is good news. Sometimes the good news is reduced. Sometimes the good news is going to be like somehow we survive, or somehow we'll be blessed or healed or cured. Sure, that's all. Those are good things. But I think at the core of it, the fear that, for instance, for me, that my grandmother, Ruth, that creative artist that I loved, who, whenever she was frustrated, would go fiddlesticks. That lady, her uniqueness is not lost. It was not wasted. It is not for nothing. It is preserved and made perfect. That's good news. I'm Pastor Chris, thinking about what it is to be unique. Something that needs no development or change. It is just who we are, unrepeatable, immeasurably valuable, wonderful, and fallen and trying to save ourselves, trying to do things that we cannot do, and faithful, trying to seek the one who can. I'm Pastor Chris from Trinity Lutheran in Cyrus, signing off for now.